It's so many people here that I know personally, and I see my friend John Ruck, past presiding judge and chief judge of the 14th Circuit Court, retired, looking great. Nice to see you here, John. And my current colleague, Judge Kathy Hoekstra, is here as well, family court. And I see a number of other folks who are running for office. I won't introduce you at this point in time, but good luck to you all. Glad it's not me at this point right now. It's an honor to be here to speak very briefly, but very sincerely on behalf of the candidacy of Joe Bush for probate court judge here in Muskegon County. It's been my pleasure to serve since 1998, so I'm in my 19th year of service. And I have enjoyed just about every minute of it. There's 2 or 3 that we could talk about that weren't so great, but for the most part, it has been the greatest job I've ever had, the greatest opportunity I've ever had, and obviously one of the most important opportunities a person can have to impact the lives of people in an entire community. The seat that is being competed for at this point now is being vacated by the Honorable Neil Mullally, who I'm sure many of you know or know of if you don't know personally, and he is an absolute stalwart in this community. And those are incredibly large shoes to be filled. And it's going to take a person who has the capacity, the competency, the care, the concern for the betterment of families and for individuals in this community to fill that position. And I cannot think of a person who is more worthy, more capable, more qualified, and more deserving of the opportunity to fill that seat than Joe Bush. I've known Joe for many years. Always has been the very epitome of professional, skilled as an attorney, principled as a lawyer, always prepared, always working zealously on behalf of those who he's represented. In that zealousness, however, I've never seen him cross the line into questionable thoughts or ideas or practices or behaviors in the effort to do well for his client. And the lawyers in this room, judges, would probably tell you that in the year 2016, that's not always something that can be said about our profession these days. Joe Bush has always presented himself as a man of principle, and a man who has understood the import of what people are going through when they have to seek the services of a legal professional. I'm certain I'm kind of preaching to the choir here. I think all of you are already converted. I think that you all feel as I do that there is no better person to assume the mantle of the probate court vacancy than Joe Bush. So what are we going to do? Well, what we need to do is we need to reach out into those spheres of influence that we have. And we need to be able to counteract, even, I would say, maybe a little misinformation that may be out there that's making this race take on a little different flavor than possibly it should. When you run for judge, you're running as a nonpartisan. You're not running as a Democrat, you're not running as a Republican, you're running as a person who is qualified, capable, licensed by the state of Michigan as a legal professional to serve the interests of people who have issues and controversies in our community. That's all this is about. I've heard it in the community that this is about who's the Republican, or who's the Democrat, or who is with this person and who's with that person. And that's all well and good, but the reality is that the situations that people bring into our court through the probate court or the family work that Joe would be involved in don't come wearing partisan agendas. They come because they have a need. They come because there's a difficulty. They come because they're looking for someone to help them to move through this difficulty and get to a resolution and answer that hopefully has a good outcome or at least resolves the problem that they're dealing with. That doesn't wear a Democratic hat, that doesn't wear a Republican hat. That wears the hat of a person who's competent, capable, caring, and concerned about what happens to people who show up in this courtroom. So when you leave here, as you are already converted, when you go back to those spheres of influence and the people that you know, talk to them from that perspective. Talk to them about the idea that you are fully convinced, that we are fully convinced that the person who's going to handle the issues of families in Muskegon County better than anyone in that position is Joe Bush. Tip O'Neill said that all politics is local. And I gotta tell you, in full disclosure, Joe and I laugh about it all the time. This is as local for me as it can possibly be. It's as local as my office is here, and God willing, Joe's office will be here. And it is important to me. It's important to Judge Hoekstra that our colleague who attains that position, while certainly having issues and concerns and questions that we'll all share and work together through, just as I knocked on Judge Ruck's door when I became a newly appointed judge. My concern is that day one, who's ready to hit the ground running? Because when people walk into that courtroom, they're not going to say there's a learning curve, we'll be patient, we'll sit back and wait for you to kind of figure this all out. They need their issue addressed immediately. Day one, Joe Bush is the person who is eminently prepared to address that issue. And I speak not only from what I believe, but I speak from personal knowledge and observation. I have had all of the candidates who are running for judge in my court at one time or another over the 19 years. And I can say unequivocally and without question that when it comes to the preparedness, the capability, the representation of clients, of those that I have seen in my court who are interested in this position, it is Joe Bush who presents as the person who's prepared to assume the mantle of probate court judge. I'm not going to continue on, folks, but I am passionate about the idea that I want to see Joe Bush as my colleague. I want this community to benefit from Joe Bush as its judge. So let's work together. Let's talk to these folks that are out here and don't know or have no clue as to what they want to do or whatever. Let's talk to them, and let's talk to them fervently that this judge, that judge, probably others, Judge Mullally, members of the bar, people who work in these close quarters every day, have the utmost confidence that the people of Muskegon County are best served by the election of Joe Bush, probate court judge. Thank you. Have a good evening.